The crisp autumn air in Hollow Creek smelled of hay and damp earth, the kind that clung to boots and breathed memory into your lungs. It was the kind of day that made the livestock auction more than just a marketplace. It was tradition, spectacle, community. Wooden signs creaked on old nails, and the murmurs of ranchers floated through the open-air arena, mingling with the soft lowing of cattle and the snorts of restless horses. At the edge of the rusted steel arena, hidden just beyond the rows of auction pens, a battered kennel sat in the shadow of a corrugated shed. Inside, a German shepherd paced, his fur thick with mud, his ribs a road map of scars. His golden eyes burned, not just with fear, but with a kind of fury sharpened by betrayal. His snarl rolled low in his throat, and handlers kept their distance, white-knuckled on catch poles and ready to leap back at any sudden move. From the VIP platform above, Lucas Vane surveyed the scene. He looked like a man carved from money, sharp cheekbones, tailored navy jacket, silver cufflinks that gleamed like small weapons. He didn't care for dogs. Not really. But he cared for control. And few things thrilled Lucas Vane like watching others fail at it. He leaned forward, tapping the microphone clip to his lapel. The static hush brought the auction yard to stillness. $1 million, he said, voice smooth as glass. That's what I'll pay anyone who can get that mutt to sit beside them for 5 minutes. No muzzles, no restraints, just you and him. A collective breath sucked in. Whispers followed. A few laughs, nervous, doubtful. The handlers exchanged glances. The dog, known only as Shadow, pressed his weight against the mesh of his cage, baring his teeth. No one moved. Lucas smirked. Thought so. From the crowd, a girl slipped away, unnoticed. Lena Carter, 12 years old and mostly invisible, darted past weathered boots and hay bales, her sneaker soles whispering over the dirt. Her grandmother had told her to stay put, but Lena never did when something pulled on her heart that way. She didn't know why Shadow's eyes made her chest ache. Maybe it was the way they searched, even through rage. Or maybe it was because she'd seen that same look once in the mirror, a long time ago, the year her mother didn't come home. Lena knelt in front of the kennel. She didn't speak, didn't reach through the bars. Instead, she reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a worn silver harmonica. Its surface dulled with age, its side engraved faintly with the initials, MC, her mother's. Lena lifted it to her lips. The first note was hesitant. A breath. Then a second, warmer, shaped more by feeling than skill. There was no song, no melody, just a string of soft, drifting tones that curled through the cold air like smoke. Shadow froze. His ears lifted, his growl cut off mid-breath. Somewhere behind them, silence rippled across the arena like wind across water. Lena kept playing, eyes low, her fingers shaking just slightly. The harmonica trembled in her hands. She didn't look at Shadow, didn't ask anything of him. And then, as if pulled by gravity, Shadow sat. Gasps fluttered like leaves across the crowd. 5 minutes passed, though no one checked the time. They didn't need to. No one spoke. No one dared to breathe too loud. When Lena lowered the harmonica, Shadow remained at her side. And when she stood, brushing the dirt from her jeans, he rose with her. They walked away together, girl and dog, while the crowd parted around them, too stunned to speak. Lucas Vane's smirk was gone. The Carter farm sat on the outskirts of Hollow Creek, a patchwork of fencing, tilting sheds, and a pasture gone a little wild. It wasn't much, but it had history. Roots. Quiet. Lena's mother had grown up here, and now Lena did too. Shadow wouldn't step foot in the house. That first night, he paced beneath the ancient oak tree, each step cautious, his body curled tight against the trunk when he finally rested. He didn't sleep. Not really. His eyes never fully closed. He wouldn't eat from a bowl, wouldn't take meat or kibble, only from Lena's palm, and only when she turned her head away. Eleanor Carter, Lena's grandmother, watched all this from the porch, a mug of chamomile in her hands. Her silver hair was pulled back in a practical braid, and her eyes were sharp enough to see what others missed. She had seen this before. Her daughter, Mira, Lena's mother, had had the same quiet gift, the kind of listening that didn't rely on ears. Some creatures, Eleanor said softly one night as they watched Shadow flinch at the sound of a slamming truck door. Don't forget pain just because the hand that caused it is gone. Dr. Grace Lowell, the town's vet, began visiting soon after. She never forced herself on Shadow. She didn't reach for him. She simply sat on the porch, legs crossed, reading veterinary textbooks aloud like bedtime stories. Shadow didn't trust her, but he listened. On her third visit, she set the book aside and reached out, slow and careful. Her fingers brushed the fur along his scarred ribs. He didn't flinch. This isn't just trauma, Grace said to Eleanor later. This was training. Someone taught him to fear first, and to never think. Eleanor's mouth tightened. She said nothing. But that night, she helped Lena pull a dusty box from beneath the bed, one filled with her mother's old journals. Lena sat with them for hours, flipping through pages that smelled of old eucalyptus and rain. Her mother's handwriting looped across the yellowed paper in ink both rushed and intentional. Force doesn't create obedience, one line read. It creates silence, and silence isn't the same as trust. Lena traced the sentence with her finger. Outside, the wind stirred the branches of the oak. Shadow lifted his head, golden eyes catching the moonlight. Still watching it, still waiting. Weeks passed. Shadow stayed. He followed Lena to the barn, to school drop-offs, to the grocery store where the clerk finally stopped telling Eleanor that dogs aren't allowed. He didn't bark, he didn't beg, he just stayed close, silent and watchful. But something in him softened. He began to sleep deeper. He stopped flinching at door slams. He let Lena braid a ribbon into his collar one morning. Read, for her mother. The Hollow Creek Autumn Fair arrived in a blaze of banners and funnel cake. The air electric with laughter and livestock. Lena hadn't planned on entering anything. She just wanted to watch the herding trials, see the border collies work sheep through impossible mazes. Then the loudspeaker crackled. Let's see what real training looks like, came Lucas Vane's voice, smug and dripping challenge. No tricks, no harmonicas, just discipline. People turned. Lena's hands clenched. Beside her, Shadow stiffened. She stepped forward. No leash, no treats, just a shadow and the harmonica in her pocket. They walked into the ring, not with military precision, but with something gentler, something synced. Shadow walked with her. When she stopped, he sat. When she crouched, he stretched forward, mirroring her in what looked like a graceful bow. Lucas smirked. Release, brute. Gasps. A massive German shepherd burst into the arena, straining against his leash, muzzle flecked with foam. Rumored to have been rejected by 4 facilities, considered untrainable, the handler barely held him. Shadow stepped forward. Calm. Unhurried. He lay down, paws stretched out, tail still. Brute paused, snarled, and then slowly lay down too. The crowd went silent. Then it erupted. Flashes, applause, cries of disbelief. Lena stayed on her knees, one hand on Shadow's back. Steady. Quiet. Lucas's face had gone pale. Dogs started arriving. Word spread faster than wildfire. Dogs with burn marks, missing ears, shattered bones. No one thought they could be saved. But Shadow greeted each one, never dominant, never aggressive. He simply lay nearby, offering space, offering quiet, the same quiet Lena had offered him. Lucas tried to spin it. He released videos, edited footage, called Lena dangerous. But Brute, now renamed Cedar, was seen chasing butterflies in the Carter pasture. A one-eyed mutt named June slept curled next to chickens. A border collie with a shattered past snored in the hay. People stopped listening to Lucas. And one night, his son Daniel arrived. He handed Lena a letter. "You were right," it read, and I was too proud to admit it. Tucked inside was a deed, 30 acres of untouched land. "For the dogs," Daniel said. Whispering Pines Canine Sanctuary opened in spring. Fences rolled over hills like soft waves. Trees offered shade. Water troughs shimmered like glass. Dogs ran without fear, without pain, without commands. Lena stood at the edge of the pasture one evening, the wind brushing her braid over her shoulder. Shadow sat beside her, silver now streaking his muzzle. But his eyes were calm, whole. She lifted the harmonica and played the same soft tune, the one that had first found him behind bars and scars. Shadow turned to look at her. He didn't need to move. She didn't need to speak. Some bonds weren't built on orders or obedience. They were built on listening.